Some of the people in the cast wouldn't eat with me, wouldn't shake my hand, and wouldn't be with me in the same room because they were afraid they could give their children or somebody AIDS if they didn't know, if they shook my hand.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It wasn't simply being rejected. It was being alone, avoided, feared, and viewed as a danger just for being there. Left a scar. No, this phrase could never be covered by makeup. Ideal for the character in today's video, Linda Evans. She didn't care about her co-stars. They never went to dinner with her. Even shook to be in the same room as her. Hands with her. And this lack of knowledge left her heart with a massive scar. Linda Evans, the gorgeous blonde who was the center of attention since Dynasty and Crystal Carrington, weren't merely a television personality. She was a style icon of She Looked at the Globe in the 1980s. Flawless. But below the glitz and celebrity was an entirely different account of her actual life. Was broken and full of sadness. Betrayal in couples and quiet conflicts, addressing both emotional and physical ailments. Even when she was most successful, Linda was having trouble with a court dispute later harmed her reputation, and the public witnessed a side of her that they didn't anticipate. Now at 82, Linda is at last disclosing the traumatic truths. She discusses the difficult moments, the power it gave her when she felt lost, took to rediscover herself. Join us in this video as the untold pages are revealed. It severely damaged her life. Linda Evans was born in 1942 on November 18. Connecticut's Hartford is a place where living was artistically gifted, and both parents were skilled dancers, and they established a creative atmosphere at home, unintentionally creating the foundation for the career in the arts that Linda would eventually. Linda's family had relocated to the north Hollywood in her youth, drawn to the prospect of additional chance to pursue a career in show business at the center of entertainment. As a youngster, she was surrounded by sisters, Carol, growing up, and Kathy, who were supportive and encouraging. Yet she was encircled by Linda was no kid when it came to art and performance. Avoiding the stage and avoiding the rather than accepting the spotlight, she disliked people and avoided making eye contact. But not until she entered the Hollywood High School, where destiny intervened under the pretense of drama class recommended as a means of overcoming her timidity, which at first was only an workout to boost self-esteem, turned out to be a revelation. Linda found a voice she was unaware she had on stage. With each role she played, she was no longer burdened by her shyness. Discovering the excitement of performing and a deep and unbreakable passion for performing. No longer was Hollywood High School a school. The furnace was where a shy girl was transformed into a celebrity. And thus, the trip started, one that would require her from a quiet upbringing to the dazzling heights of fame on television. Linda Evans started out in the entertainment industry at a young age of 15, appearing as a guest on television commercial for a brief period of time, camera. But it triggered a profound. She had a passion for acting that would alter the course of her life. Her own natural charm and a striking appearance quickly won over professionals in the field, leading to appearances as guests on some of the era's most popular television programs: Bachelor, Father, The Adventures of Wagon Train with AZ, Harriet, and in each role, Linda refined her abilities, progressively establishing herself as a talented young artist with indisputable fame. Her first significant breakthrough occurred when she was selected to perform in 1965 in The Big Valley. Audrey Barkley was her first leading part after a long series, and it marked a turning point in her profession as the fiery and intelligent Linda. The youngest Barkley daughter, Audrey, was filled with the ideal combination of beauty, vulnerability, and strength. The audience was captivated, and she left a enduring impact in the history of. For Linda, television in the Big Valley was more than just a job chance. An event that transformed her life. Program's accomplishments throughout 1969 not only made her a household name in the house, but elevated her from temporary slight alterations to a role of actual standing in Hollywood. She regularly commented on the way she portrayed Audra assisted her in accessing her own possible, establishing the foundation for even more fulfilling prospects in the future. But even though she was loved in the big, Linda's journey down the valley had just began, waiting just over the horizon. Portion that would guarantee her spot in history, turning her into what turns a promising star into a legend? Nothing was waiting for Linda Evans next, short of fate, a position that would thrust her into the bright spotlight. Of global renown, her path led to Welcome to Dynasty, the phenomenon of television which would reshape her career and solidify her reputation as a legend by launching Dynasty immediately enthralled in 1981. Viewers worldwide, with its captivating depiction of the rich and dynastic and powerful Carrington family filled with bitterness and love treachery, the drama's central rivals were Linda Evans as the sophisticated, smart, and devoted Crystal Carrington, the fearsome Blake Carrington's wife, played with the grace of John Forsythe. Crystal. She became a fan because of her inner strength. Favorite, but her heated altercations, Alexis Colby's cunning was used to Joan Collins's perfection, which turned into the crucial scenes of the show. Battles on TV were nothing less than renowned, driving the Dynasty's explosive achievement and carving their competition into history of television. Linda's representation of Crystal Carrington gained a lot of praise, winning a Golden Globe for 1982's top actress. Between 1982 and 1985, she was awarded consecutive nominations for the Golden Globes and a number of People's Choice Awards, evidence of the intense love she received an Emmy in 1983 from audiences. Nominations strengthened her position even more among the most renowned television actors of her time, but Linda's impact went well beyond the screen. Crystal Carrington turned into her clothing is a global fashion icon. Lavish dresses, beautiful evening gowns and plush fur coats create a new benchmark for inspirational elegance. Millions of women around the world characteristic long golden hair, poised manner and tasteful, soft neutral makeup, eyes and lips that blazed with subtle intensity turned into the ideal of off-screen. Linda's sophistication, her effortless style was reflected on screen. Elegance, tailored pants and crisp white shirts, their flowing jackets represented a classic combination of elegance and simplicity. That she created fashion statements during the Dynasty weren't limited to apparel. They were about using fabric to communicate stories, and she expressed fragility and power in her figure and tenacity. Years later, Linda's effect on fashion is still evident. Evidence of her transformation, not only a part, but a whole period of time into an lasting impact beyond the glitz and glamour. Linda Evans investigated the Dynasty world. Different perspectives demonstrating her adaptability as an actress who co-starred with in 1979 the legendary filmmakers Lee Marvin and Robert Shaw in the thrilling film Avalanche Express. She made an appearance the following year in Tom Horn. The screen is shared with the Steve McQueen, the legend in what would be, despite her cinematic career, his last film never quite attained the same level of success as her achievement in these performances on television, shown her readiness to accept many genres and push the envelope of her trade. In 1991, Linda appeared once more, assumed the position that characterized a generation, reenacting her role as Dynasty's Crystal Carrington. Even though it was brief, the reunion gave ardent supporters an opportunity to visit the Lindas and the Carringtons' world. The reception upon return was overwhelmingly warm. Her on-screen persona confirmed the spectators' strong fondness for her, and the classic charm she added to. However, the career of Linda Evans was she never talks only about dynasties. Persistently looked for fresh opportunities, refusing to fit into a specific role. Her legacy goes further beyond accolades and honors. It is quantified in the solid relationships she established with the characters she introduced to life and the motivation she keeps up in order to support future generations. More, Linda Evans is more than just an actor. She is an emblem of grace and tenacity, and in persistent love for the craft of narrating despite arriving at the highest level of recognition in becoming a worldwide. The personal life of legendary Linda Evans was characterized by deep sorrow and difficulties beneath the glitz of she suffered emotional injuries in Hollywood that put her strength to the test, especially in Linda married in 1968 after falling in love. The well-known actor John Derek and 16-year-old director at the age of 26 aged, she was enthralled with Derek's assurance, eye-catching appearance, and indisputable appeal. He developed into more than just a husband. Her mentor assisting her in the demanding entertainment industry. But what appeared to be an ideal collaboration quickly revealed the agonizing Derek. The reality beyond the surface. Notorious for his turbulent love life, had previously been wed to an actress, Ursula Andress, and was well known as an ardent but domineering man. As their marriage progressed, his requirement for dominance was brutally evident. Demanded that Linda give up her burgeoning career, should give their home life their all attention, and she made the sacrifice out of love. But giving up her aspirations did not result in the balance that she had sought. Derek's authority over her went beyond career, influencing her attire and identity. Discussed her life with Young, and Linda, who was incredibly in love, thought that devotion required sacrifice, but not in a big way. Of concession might protect her from what was imminent, and the tipping point came when Derek started having an affair with 18-year-old Mary Kathleen Collins, who would subsequently be referred to as Bo Derek. The treachery wasn't just, it was devastating. Humiliating. Instead of concealing his, Derek exposed his young lover's cheating, even taking her in front of the entire world abroad to Greece and Germany in order to prevent legal issues as a result of their staggering. For Linda, the age gap of 30 years, losing the man she loved, was painful. Exacerbated by the intense public scrutiny examination, she was more than a woman. She was ridiculed and made headlines while Derek was chastised for his behavior. Linda discovered that she was compared to the younger, deepening her with a more brilliant Bo Derek. Emotional difficulties and insecurities. But even during her lowest point, Linda declined to allow sadness to characterize her. In spite of the whispers, the public, and rumors treachery, she said nothing. Opting honor over revenge as opposed to letting hopelessness to devour her, she mustered the bravery to recover herself in 1974. Following 6 years of a turbulent and agonizing marriage, Linda left. The divorce was difficult, but it was a pivotal moment when she put herself before strength over sadness. It was the start of a chapter 1 of the new book where she would climb from heartbreak's ashes. Nor as after being broken, the woman was reborn. Divorced from John Derek, Linda Evans made the decisive decision that she would not be heartbreak defeats you with silence. Determined, she called her manager, and that she was prepared to go back to the anguish of betrayal did not shatter her. Rather, it served as the impetus for her recovery. Her fortitude not only assisted her in regaining her strength but additionally rekindled her career with steadfast concentration. She returned to both in the entertainment sector and in it for a few years. Her dedication was rewarded by fate. She played the part of Crystal Carrington in Dynasty, propelled her to previously unheard of heights, transforming her into, and Linda was a global sensation. Turned her pain into strength, demonstrating to herself and the world that she was much more than a scorned woman. She was a graceful, strong, and endurance. Many years following John Derek's passing in 1998, a surprising realization. Bo Derek, the lady who had previously been the focal point of Linda's most traumatic chapter that was publicly expressed sorrow for her involvement in the ending their marriage. She acknowledged that when she was younger, she had not understood the consequences of her conduct in full, or the extent of the suffering she had brought about. She had gained wisdom over time, and with it came regret, which she admitted. Not just the pain Linda went through, but also the complexity of her own tumultuous Derek's marriage. But at that time, Linda had long since carried forth her legacy, characterized not by treachery but by regeneration, of resilience, and an unwavering spirit that transformed adversity into success. Linda Evans's romantic adventure, and it was a relationship of self-discovery, tenacity, and an unshakable dedication to remaining loyal to herself despite her. John Derek's marriage terminated and she refused to allow tragedy to define her. While Derek was under public attention, given how he handled her, Linda made the decision to grace over resentment by employing the experience as a lesson that would never be repeated. She loses herself in love with 1975. 1 year following the closure of the traumatic chapter involving Derek, Linda entered a real estate marriage and a fresh relationship. In contrast to Derek, businessman Stan Herman did not participate in the show world, providing Linda with the security she had been longing for. Their connection promised to be an easier life outside of Hollywood's constant glare, but as the years went by their differences widened. Linda was unquestionably still a major TV personality, but Herman prosperous in his own right, but found it difficult to discover his position in her world. Despite its significance, marriage lacked common ground, and they parted ways amicably in 1979. Approaches in the years after Linda accepted dating on her own terms. Well-known individuals, such as actor Lee Major, their short but well-known, the media was fascinated by a romantic couple of two legendary figures on television that made headlines, but it was her almost decadent connection with the renowned Greek performer Yanni that gave her genuine fulfillment. At the start, their relationship turned into one of the most treasured periods of her life. Linda frequently mentioned the profound tranquility, and she found contentment with him. Relationship that was never cemented by marriage made a deep impression on her heart. In contrast to many of her counterparts in Hollywood, Linda had no choice but to have children. Unrepentantly, she found purpose in her, not in parenthood, professional connections, interpersonal interactions, and thus she created a life for herself instead of in accordance with social norms. She created a route that matched her own aspirations. Linda enjoyed cultivating herself and the liberty to discover and love and develop without limitations. Her narrative is one of satisfaction rather than absence. In various ways, while some might consider her choice to be a priority, work over family, but in reality, there's more profound. Linda Evans gave top priority to contentment. According to her terms, she thought that love, whether short-lived or long-lasting, taught her lessons